I recently released a video where I talked about the problems I've been having with my hands going numb when I bike, and the cool discovery I made when I was out testing a new set of grips. And the response from that video shocked me. If you haven't already seen it, I'll link it above and put it down in the description. Along with the huge response I got from that video, I ended up with a ton of awesome feedback that people shared with what helped them get past their numb hands and get back to riding the way that they want to. So today I wanted to highlight a few of those comments that really stuck with me and helped open my mind and to see things from a much broader perspective, and also added a few things to my must-try gear list. So, my name is Grant, this is Roo Bike, let's get into this. In the previous video, I shared what a huge difference it made for me personally to move from a larger diameter grip to a smaller, slimmer profile grip, both in hand feel and in bike and bar handling. But some of the viewers really helped take the conversation to the next level. Continuing on the topic of grip, some of the commenters mentioned some brands that went beyond just slimness, right? A lot of these grips, for example, the ones that I ended up liking, is just a straight cylindrical profile. The grips that were mentioned that brought to my attention that shape is also important when we're talking about grips got mentioned quite a few times, and that's by a brand called Ergon. Now, what Ergon does is in the ones that were mentioned, both the GD, the GE, and even the GP one, I know the names aren't the most glamorous, right? But what they do offer is some very unique ergonomic shapes, for the lack of a better way to say that, right? So again, we have a straight cylindrical design here, meaning it's the same diameter here as it is in the middle, as it is in the edge. Now, the unique thing about some of those Ergons, particularly the GD ones, was the fact that they offer a flared conical design, where they start at the innermost part of the grip at a 30 mil and then flare out to a 32 mil. Now, this may very well help alleviate some of the stress that you get in your wrist, and according to their website, it helps alleviate some of those hot spots. Long story short, on these particular grips, shape is important and may very well be the thing that not only helps you ease up and reduce your hand fatigue, but put your wrist in a less stressed and less bindy-uppy sort of a position. A brand of grips that offers a very unique solution called Rev Grips. The interesting thing about the Rev Grips is how they offer and incorporate a built-in suspension system, which allows you to be the grips themselves and where you contact them with your hands to be independent of the handlebar. And the people in the comment swear by these, that they have completely changed and helped them not only ride better and more comfortable, but recover from injuries that previously really slowed them down. So, one caveat on these particular grips is they are a bit pricey. Now, they do have two different levels here, a Pro Series and a Racer Series. So it does look like there are a few different ways that you can approach these grips if one is a little bit more aligned with your budget. The other nice thing is once you purchase these grips, they are quite modular, meaning you can replace bits and pieces that wear out, and thereby extending the life of these things much more than you can with your regular style grips that once they're gone sort of a thing. So the last thing I want to say about grips in this video before we move on was probably one of my favorite comments. Thank you very much to Steven and his comment. Light hands, heavy feet, right? I was death gripping the crap out of my grips, especially when I was using these thick chunky boys. As I mentioned before, my only option was a death grip on them. But that can also happen with a thinner diameter grip. And that's what I love so very much about this comment. Light hands, heavy feet, let your body unlock for just a second. It's such a quick and easy sort of a memory trick. It doesn't take anything. You can apply with any sort of grip that you have. I'm just so happy that I saw that comment. Grips were just the beginning of the feedback that I got. Next, let's move on from grips to handlebars. Handlebars. Handlebar moustaches, that is. Okay, we're gonna put those down. Starting the topic of conversation on handlebars is something, to be honest, I had never even thought about, never did any bit of research on, so this was entirely new to me, and that was the handlebar diameter, right? I got a stem here. In fact, this came off my new bike when I was having it fitted. This is a 35 millimeter stem to match the 35 millimeter bar that came on my bike. Now, I looked it up on my bike manufacturer's website. They say, they have a whole section on this. Why do we use a 35 millimeter? They call it a cockpit. Well, they claim that they get stiffness, performance, and comfort out of it. I never even thought about this, nor did I think about the other option out there, which is the 31.8. Some of the commenters highlighted that just moving from the 35 millimeter to the 31.8 made a huge difference, giving them much more flex, reducing fatigue, and something called arm pump. When I read that, I had no idea what arm pump was, but here's what I learned, right? You go to the gym, you pump up your muscles, they get full of blood, and you can feel that pump, right? It feels good. You know why it feels good? Because it doesn't stick around. In cases like arm pump from your bike, what happens if that blood can't escape because you're during a ride and it's like, I'm holding on for dear life, and it lasts for quite a while? Well, that ends up to being really painful, and it hurts, and it's fatiguing, and it's a terrible situation. Another aspect of handlebars that got brought up that, to be honest, I really had never thought about was the rise. Well, we're gonna take a step back and say the shape as a whole, right? You can categorize that by its rise, its up sweep, and its back sweep. That gives the bar its basic shape, right? And over again, I saw that people were going from bars greater than a 20 mil rise were mentioned, 30, 35s. I have never tried a 30 or a 35 mil bar before, but I'm about to. Apparently what this does is it helps move you from a more weight biased frontward position to help also keep you in a more upright, sort of a casual position. Again, there's a whole lot of factors here. The geometry of your bike, the length of your top tube, and many other things to consider. But if you're having issues, back issues, weight on your hands issues, binding here, more rise may help you, like it's helped the viewers from the previous video. Now, a few standout handlebars that were specifically mentioned, I had heard of none of these before, and as a result, I did a whole bunch of research on them, and some of them were super cool. For example, there is a brand called Fast, and they have a bar called the Flex. Never heard of them. They offer both carbon fiber, aluminum, different rises, different sweeps, all that stuff. None of that is what makes this bar interesting. What they've done is they have built in a flex/suspension system into the bar itself with these elastomers. The elastomers that they offer are very customizable depending on what weight you are and what type of riding that you do. As cool as that sounds, you probably should be aware they are a bit on the pricey side. And speaking of a bit on the pricey side is the next one that got mentioned that I almost wish I hadn't have read the comment because I cannot get it out of my head ever since learning about it. It is a titanium handlebar from the brand called Roost. This is hands down the most beautiful handlebar I have ever seen. Oh, why did you tell me about it? This is definitely on my must-try list. It's just super expensive. At any rate, it's definitely worth checking out. I will leave links for all this stuff down below, by the way. And lastly, on specific handlebars, one that was mentioned a few times was the One-Up Carbon Bar. And I hate to admit it, after researching this out, I was so intrigued. I know, a little embarrassed. I went out and bought it. And I'll tell you why I bought this instead of the other ones that I mentioned. A, the other ones are about twice the cost of this one, but B, I am currently using a 35 millimeter stem. So in order to move to those other ones, I would have had to buy not only a new stem, a 31.8, but also the new bar, and that really adds up fast. Now, the cool thing about this One-Up bar, I'm gonna hit myself in the head with it, but it offers a 35 millimeter clamp diameter, but how it differs is in the fact the area of which that is 35 millimeters, they have left that to a minimum. And then the shape and how they've laid up the carbon fiber, I cannot wait to try this thing. Apparently this thing is magical. The other thing that's really interesting, I am used to a 20 degree or a 20 mil rise bar, right? After reading the comments, I ended up getting their 35 mil rise bar, and we'll see what this does to my posture, my riding position, and see if it makes any difference in performance and feel and hand numbness or anything that I might be experiencing. So if you're interested in a deep dive on this particular handlebar, leave a comment below and I will get to that. Moving away from specific gear here, over and over, it was mentioned in the comments what a difference proper fit and alignment and posture was when you're working with your bike. Here's what I want to leave you with. If you're really hurting, go see a doctor. You may truly benefit and at least eliminate the possibility that something major is going on, like pinched nerves or who knows what. Those things could be really debilitating. So do yourself a favor, go see a professional. The other thing, if you haven't already, you may seriously benefit from a bike fitting. If you're like me and you're not comfortable fiddling around with all that stuff, go see a professional. That's what they do. There's probably tons in your area. All right, let's try and wrap all of this up, and I want to leave you guys with, I don't know whether it's like a motivational or inspirational or whatever. It was just a super cool comment that someone left. This one, forgive me if I completely slaughter the name here, Sirius Star. All of this becomes easier as you get older because you will care less about what people think. Yeah, I get that. Here's the good part. I'm 77 and I ride a Nox e-bike hardtail. I have back and neck and shoulder injuries. So what I did, I created a double-decker handlebar setup with end risers. This enables me to switch from the normal position for downhill and then sit up straight by moving my hands to the riser position. This takes all the stress off my hands and shoulders. It works fantastic. Holy crap, I hope in 30 plus years I am just like Sirius and I am laughing, having a great attitude, figuring out how to keep riding and enjoying and doing the things that I love despite the injuries that I might have. I love that. And on that note, that's where I want to end this. If you're struggling with something like I was, the numb hands, don't let it ruin your day. Don't let it ruin something that you love. Figure out how to fix it for yourself and move on, right? Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, subscribe. My name is Grant. This is Roo Bike. Bye.